Welcome back to the deep dive. We're picking up right where we left off, exploring the really unparalleled standard of leadership set by Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him.
That's right. And today we're zooming in on one particular individual he chose, a governor whose story is, well, quite something.
It really is. Our mission today is to unpack the story of this governor, Umayr ibn Sa, may Allah be pleased with him, and try to understand why his name is still, even now, linked so strongly with absolute integrity, incorruptibility, really.
Yeah, and to really get Umayr's story, you absolutely have to remember the background we discussed before. Umar's standards for his governors, they were nothing short of revolutionary.
Revolutionary is the word. Simplicity, total justice, accountability.
Exactly. He wanted leaders who were basically immune to the temptations of power, of luxury. It was an incredibly high bar for public service he was setting.
So given that ridiculously high bar, the big question is, why did Umar choose Umayr ibn Sa? He was relatively young, wasn't he?
He was, yes.
And he was sent to govern Hims in Syria, a place already known for being, let's say, difficult. They complained a lot about previous governors.
They had a reputation.
So why Umar? And maybe more importantly, what does his pretty dramatic story teach us about that line between worldly power and, well, deep spiritual conviction?
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning then.
Yeah.
Because Umar's character, that integrity, it was really forged long before he ever held any kind of political office.
His early life wasn't easy, was it?
Not at all. He was orphaned, grew up poor. Then his mother remarried Caliph ibn Sa.
Ah, Julius. A very wealthy man, right? From the powerful Allah's tribe.
That's him. And Julius, by all accounts, treated Umayr like his own son, gave him security, comfort, things he hadn't known.
So he experienced wealth, but it didn't seem to change his core devotion.
Not a bit.
Yeah.
He became Muslim when he was barely 10 years old, and the sources really emphasize how committed he was, always trying to pray in the first row, right behind the noble prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Seeking that spiritual reward, the thawb.
Precisely. Focused on the divine recompense, not the worldly stuff, but that internal devotion. It was about to face a massive test, a really severe external test.
You're talking about the expedition to Tabuk.
Exactly. 9th year after Hijra. This was a tough campaign. Intense heat, long distance.
And a huge call for financial support from the community. People remember the big donations, like Uthman ibn Affan giving 1,000 gold dinars. Huge sums.
Right, and Umayr, full of that community spirit, goes home hoping to get his benefactor, Julius, to contribute generously.
But that's not what happened.
Far from it. Instead of generosity, Umayr overhears Julius basically shout this shocking statement. If Muhammad is true in claiming that he is a prophet, then we are all worse than donkeys.
Wow. Just devastating for Umayr to hear that.
Imagine, it puts him in an impossible position. Loyalty to the man who raised him, who gave him everything materially, versus loyalty to God and his prophet.
Because those words, they placed Julius firmly among the munafiqun, the hypocrites.
Instantly. And Umayr's choice, though agonizing, was swift. He knew he had to report it.
So he does. But when the prophet summons Julius, Julius denies everything.
Flat out denies it. Puts Umayr in a terrible spot. He prays desperately for God to show the truth.
And that's when the divine confirmation comes.
Yes. Revelation arrives. Quran, Surah at-Tawbah, verse 74.
يحلفون بالله ما قالوا ولقد قالوا كلمة الكفر وكفروا بعد إسلامهم وهموا بما لم ينالوا وما نقموا إلا أن أغناهم الله ورسوله من فضله فإن يتوبوا يك خيرا لهم وإن يتولوا يعذبهم الله عذابا أليما في الدنيا والآخرة وما لهم في الأرض من ولي ولا نصير.
It confirms Umar spoke the truth and exposed Julius's hypocrisy.
How did Julius react then?
Faced with divine proof, he repented. Sincerely, right there and then.
Incredible. And the sources say Julius was later grateful to Umar.
Immensely grateful. Said Umar saved him from disbelief. But the key takeaway here for our story is this. Umar chose faith and truth over personal ties, over material security. He proved his immunity to worldly gain before anyone even thought of making him a governor.
Right. He'd already passed the ultimate test.
Which is exactly the kind of character Umar ibn al-Khattab was looking for, that proven integrity.
So that leads us straight to the appointment in Hormuz. Umar needed someone absolutely unshakable for this province known for complaining.
And he picks Umayr, who, remember, was young and actually preferred being on military campaigns, out fighting for the cause. Administration wasn't really his first choice.
So why him? Why take that risk putting a young guy, maybe inexperienced in governance, into such a politically tricky spot?
Because Umar wasn't primarily looking for age or administrative CV points. He was looking for purity of character. Remember his conditions.
No fancy clothes, no special food, no grand house. Live like the people.
Exactly. Establish the prayer, rule with justice, keep your door open. He needed a shepherd, not a ruler in the typical sense.
And Umayr accepts, but reluctantly.
He does. And his very first move in hymns, it tells you everything about his approach. After leading the prayer, he gives this inaugural address.
And it wasn't about flexing power, was it?
Not at all. It was about spiritual foundations.
Yeah.
He used this powerful analogy. He said, "O people, Islam is a mighty fortress and a sturdy gate."
Okay.
The fortress of Islam, he said, is justice, and its gate is truth.
Justice and truth, that's the core.
That's the blueprint. He laid it out immediately. Authority doesn't come from the whip or the sword, he implied. It comes from ruling justly and sticking to the truth.
Powerful words. But putting that into practice, especially in a place like Hims, that's the real challenge.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the next part of the story, the real test of his governorship.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting from a political standpoint. Umar governs Hims for a full year, an entire year. And back in Medina, Caliph Umar hears nothing.
Silence. No letters, no updates.
And crucially, no tax revenue. Not a single dirham or dinar makes its way to the central treasury. Now, for a caliph like Umar, who is known for being meticulous, demanding, silence must have been worrying.
Oh, deeply worrying. His biggest fear was always corruption, that the power, the position, would eventually corrupt even the best of men, turn his governors into little kings.
So the silence from Hims, he probably feared the worst, that Umar had been tempted, maybe started lining his own pockets.
That seems to be the concern. So Umar sends a sharp message. Come back to Medina immediately and bring all the taxes you've collected.
So everyone's expecting, a provincial governor to roll in, maybe on a nice horse, attendants, chests of gold.
The usual picture. But instead, Umar arrives. How?
On foot. Sunburnt, looking gaunt, hair long. He walked the whole way.
Just walked. And his possessions, what did he arrive with?
Barely anything. Little pouch for food, a bowl he used for eating and washing, a cup for wudu and drinking, and his spear. That was it.
His spear. His means of protection, maybe symbolizing his role.
Umar was astonished, right? Asked him why he didn't even ride an animal provided for the governor.
And Umar just says, basically, nobody gave me one, and I didn't ask. It's as simple as that. It shows his simplicity, definitely. But it still doesn't explain the missing money. Where were the taxes?
This is the crucial moment, isn't it? The discussion about the Beit al-Mal, the public treasury. Umar shows up empty-handed. What happened? Was it incompetence? Or something else?
It was something else entirely. It was, you could argue, a radical policy. Political genius, even, in its own way.
Okay, explain that. What did he tell Umar?
When Umar pressed him about the funds, Umar explained his system. He said he'd entrusted the actual collection of taxes to the known righteous people within Hims itself.
Okay, delegated. That makes sense.
But here's the key part, the revolutionary part. He set up a completely localized system for distributing that wealth.
Localized how? He didn't send anything back to Medina.
Not a single coin. Essentially, whenever the local collectors gathered any tax money, Umar would immediately consult with those same righteous local leaders. And then they'd spend all of it, right then and there.
Spend it on what?
On the deserving poor within Hims. The needy, the vulnerable, right in their own community. He made sure the money collected from the people of Hims stayed with the people of Hims.
Wow. So he basically treated Hims like its own little economic ecosystem, prioritizing immediate local needs over sending tribute to the capital.
Exactly. It's a complete flip of how empires usually work, where wealth flows inwards to the center. Umar kept it circulating right where it was generated, focusing on local justice first.
That's radical. And that explanation, that's what finally convinced Umar, overcame his skepticism.
It seems so. And there's that incredibly powerful quote that captures the essence of this moment.
The one about the shield and sword.
That's the one. When Caliph Umar asked Umar ibn Sa what wealth he had gained from governing Homs, he replied, I returned with nothing but my shield and sword.
Nothing but my shield and sword. Let's unpack that. What does that really signify in terms of governance?
It signifies his entire role: conception, the shield, protection, justice, defending the weak, the sword, truth, implementation, upholding the right. He saw himself purely as an instrument of just governance, not someone who should profit from it.
So his personal emptiness was proof of his financial transparency and integrity.
Precisely. He was the shield and sword for hymns, not for himself. And this honesty, this radical simplicity and focus on local justice, it moved Umar to tears.
Moved him so much he tried to reappoint Umayr on the spot.
He did, but Umar refused. Firmly. He said, "I shall not be a governor for you, nor for anyone after you, O Amir al-Mu'minin." His job was done. He'd served his purpose.
Incredible story. But Umar, ever the careful leader, he wasn't quite finished, was he? There was one more test.
One final check, you might say. Umar retires, goes back to a simple village near Medina, but Umar still wonders, is he truly living simply, or did he perhaps stash something away? Is he genuinely in need?
So he sends his aide, Al-Harith, with a bag of money, a test.
A test, yes.
Yeah.
100 dinars. Al-Harith is told to stay with Umar for a few days, observe his situation discreetly, and then offer the money as if from Umar personally.
And what did Al-Harith find?
He found genuine hardship. Al-Harith stayed 3 nights, and each night, despite their own poverty, Umar and his wife gave their guests the best they had, which was just a small piece of barley bread.
They prioritized the guest, even while struggling themselves.
Deeply. Al-Harith learned from someone local just how much Umar's family was suffering, going hungry, but putting on a brave face for their guest. Extreme hospitality under duress.
So when Al-Harith finally presents the 100 dinars,
Umar initially refuses it. Again, that aversion to personal gain, it wasn't for him.
but his wife convinces him.
Yes, she points out, essentially, we might not need it for us, but think of others. Those in need here are many. She frames it as a tool for charity, not personal relief.
And what does Umar do with the money?
Accepts it on that basis. And then, that very night, he takes the entire amount, divides it into small portions, and distributes it all.
All of it immediately.
Immediately. To the local needy, paying special attention to the children of martyrs, those who had lost their fathers in service. He didn't keep a single dinar for his own family's pressing needs.
So Al-Harith goes back to Umar with this report.
Reports the distressing poverty, but also this immediate, selfless distribution of the entire sum. And Umar. He's overwhelmed again. He cries.
And he declares something profound, doesn't he?
He does. He says, I swear that you are one of those who are hard against themselves, even when they are in dire need. Recognizing that Umar lived that Quranic ideal, preferring others over himself, even in poverty.
It confirms Umar was the real deal, the absolute embodiment of the qualities Umar prized above all else.
Completely. Sadly, Umar passed away not long after this, having truly, as you said, left the world materially empty-handed.
And Umar's reaction to his death.
Deep sorrow, and that famous lament. I have wished to have men like Umayr ibn Sa, whose help I could seek in dealing with the affairs of Muslims. He recognized the rarity, the immense value of such character.
So pulling it all together, the enduring lesson from Umayr ibn Sa seems to be about this radical idea of service. Leadership defined by giving, not taking.
Absolutely. His character, formed early on by choosing truth over comfort in that incident with Tulis,
Right.
was then lived out by prioritizing local justice and hymns over accumulating wealth or centralizing power. Running a whole province effectively for a year without taking a cent for himself or even for the central government.
It's an incredible model, almost hard to imagine today.
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it? It forces us to ask some tough questions about leadership now.
Like what?
Well, imagine a leader today implementing Umayr's hymns policy, spending all locally collected funds immediately on local needs, effectively bypassing central treasury rules.
They'd likely be investigated, wouldn't they? Not praised for integrity.
Probably. It highlights a difference in understanding accountability. Is it about bureaucratic process and centralized control, or is it about fundamental character and prioritizing immediate justice? Umayr's story suggests the latter is more powerful.
So true accountability comes from within, from that incorruptible character, not just external checks.
That seems to be the lesson. Imagine, as you said earlier, if a leader's success was measured by how little they personally accumulated, not how much. That's the Umayr standard.
A standard worth reflecting on. And a reminder, if you find these kinds of stories insightful, exploring the lives of the Sahaba, you can find more on the Sahaba Role Models YouTube channel. Definitely worth subscribing.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with that final thought. Umar famously said he stored his wealth away, meaning his good deeds, for a day when neither wealth nor children will be of any avail, the day of judgment.
So the question for all of us listening right now is, what specific provision are you making today for that ultimate, unavoidable test tomorrow? Something to think about.
طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت المدينة مرحبا يا خير داع ما شاء الله we did it الحمد لله ما شاء بارك الله فيكم